Station, this is Houston. Are you ready for the event?
Houston Station, I am ready for the event.
George Washington University, this is Mission Control Houston. Please call station for a voice check.
Station, this is George Washington University. How do you hear me?
GW, this is the International Space Station. I hear you loud and clear, and welcome.
Good morning, Serena. This is David Darling, and we're thrilled to see you and hear your voice coming from more than 200 miles above the Earth. Thank you, and thank NASA for making time to do this downlink with us. We have a packed auditorium here. People who are waiting to hear from you, to ask questions, so we'll get started if you're ready. Are you ready? Let me invite our first student to the podium.
Absolutely, I am ready.
Terrific.
Hi, my name is Jarvis Harrison, and I'm from Smothers Elementary School. My question is, how do it feel when you blast off to get to the International Space Station?
So let me tell you, that day of launch was absolutely amazing day. The ride up here on the Soyuz rocket was extremely smooth. I was surprised at how smooth it was. The part that wasn't so smooth were the stage cutoffs. And that's expected as you burn from one stage to the next. And it was very much an abrupt jolt forward in your seat. You almost felt like you were falling a little bit until the next stage kicked in. And so it was about 8.5 minutes that took us to get into orbit. And the entire time, you feel the engines beneath you. You know that when those engines light on the ground, you are going somewhere, and really, really quickly. So it was a blast, literally.
Go ahead.
My name is Marley Lucas, and I'm from School Without Walls High School. My question is, how is one affected by zero gravity?
That is a big question, because certainly our body is affected in a lot of ways. And since I'm a physician, I have studied this for many, many years. And the first thing that happens when you get into microgravity is your body is essentially offloaded from gravity. So your heart doesn't have to work as hard, your bones and your muscles don't have to work as hard, and your muscles begin to atrophy after a very short period of time if you don't use them. And your bones actually start to break down. Now, not in the macroscopic sense, but really on the very tiny microscopic scale. But we begin to see biomarkers in the urine very quickly, within 24 to 48 hours, that tell us our bones are beginning to break down. And so in order to counter that, we have several means. But one of the biggest things we do up here is we exercise 2 to 2.5 hours a day. Each astronaut on board, in their schedule, we have 1 hour of aerobic exercise, and that's on either our treadmill or our special bicycle. And then we also, in a sense, lift weights for about 1.5 hours every day. And you may ask, well, how do you lift weights up there? Weights don't weigh anything up on the space station. Well, we have a special device called ARED, the Advanced Resistive Exercise Device. And that device actually generates force utilizing vacuum tubes. And we can get up to almost about 600 pounds of force. So I can do everything from squats to deadlifts to bench press. And we do this every single day. And a lot of the science has shown us that it works really, really well. So we're pretty happy with some of the results that we have so far, especially because we didn't have some of these devices very, very early on in the space station program. The other thing that happens is, up in your head, usually your inner ear gives you a position sense when you're on Earth by gravity, and you can tell which way is up, which way is down, left, right. Well, up here we don't have that, and so I can basically, like I did, hang in any direction, and it doesn't bother me at all. I can sleep upside down, I can sleep on any wall, I can basically work in any direction, and it's pretty easy, and my brain doesn't know the difference. So those are some of the biggest things we see. Finally, the last thing I'll probably mention is we do see changes in astronauts' eyes. We've seen some changes in the optic nerve. Sometimes we see swelling of that nerve. We're not quite sure why that occurs, but we get tests done almost monthly to every 2 months up here to keep an eye on our optic nerves and also the changes that are happening in the back of the eye or in the retina. Great question.
Hi, Serena. My name is Martin Silva, and I'm a student in the GW School of Business. And my question is, what has surprised you the most about living in a microgravity environment?
You know, I think the thing that surprised me the most was how quickly I learned how to use my feet to hold on to things. And, you know, on the ground, our feet take us everywhere. We walk, we run, but we don't use it to hold on to things or to stabilize ourselves while working. But up here, if I need to work on a certain wall, I can just hook my feet in and my hands are free. So I use my feet everywhere I go. The first month I was very, not graceful at all. It was pretty ugly, and people were laughing at me, but that's okay. And then after a while, I was surprised at how naturally my feet would find that little place to hook into, to stabilize myself, to keep me still while working. And it really didn't take very long. So the human body's absolutely amazing. It adapts to just about any environment you have, and it learns to use what's up here.
Hello, my name is Anari Payton, and I'm from Smothers Elementary School. My question is, what kind of food do you eat in space?
Ooh, I am so glad you asked that, because I brought some food to show you today, and this is actually what I'm going to eat tonight. Let me show you. We'll start with, I don't know if you guys like shrimp or not, but this is shrimp cocktail. It's actually little dried up shrimp in here, and we have to insert water through this spout. We have a special water dispenser that gives us clean water. So it looks a little dry and shriveled right now, but once you add water, it's actually really good and spicy. So we like this up here. And then this is teriyaki vegetables. And again, it doesn't look very impressive at first, but once you add water, it's actually quite tasty, and it turns into a little bit more of a vegetable treat. Most of our food up here, a lot of it anyway, we do add water to in order to rehydrate it. We do have food similar to what the military eats, kind of what they call meals ready to eat, or MREs, and those are food in pouches. And then finally, we do have some fresh food, and I think the most popular fresh food we have up here is the tortilla. We have lots of tortillas. They tend to keep really, really well, and you can put just about anything in a tortilla and make it taste good. So that's kind of some of the food that we eat, but I'll be eating this later for dinner. So what I'm going to do right now is push these down to the end of the module. There they go. Hope they don't, Ricky's working down there too.
Hello, my name is Naima Paris. I go to school at Walter Francis Stevens. How do you bathe in space?
Ooh, I wish we had a shower up here, but we just don't, nor do we have a bathtub. So we have these very special towels that we use, and you can put special soap on the towels, and you inject water into a little packet similar to what I just showed you. And you get that towel all nice and wet, and you just kind of rub your body all down with it, and that's the best we can do as far as a bath or shower. When it comes to washing hair, obviously, I have to work a little bit more than the guys do, but I basically take a drink bag, and I won't wash my hair for you here, but I'll show you the drink bag. So I take this drink bag, and I basically squirt a little bit of water out top. And the water, because of surface tension, just kind of stays right there as a big bubble. It's not going anywhere. And it sticks to your hair the same way. I'm going to drink this right now. It's actually orange juice. But anyway, so when you wash your hair, you end up squirting that same water all around your scalp, and it just sits right there. So then I use a comb to kind of brush the water through, and I do the same thing with the soap, and then use a towel to dry it. Surprisingly, it feels pretty clean when you're done, but it is not as good as a hot shower.
Hi, my name is Zach Beck, and I am from Smothers Elementary School. My question is, how do you go to sleep in space?
Sleeping. Actually, we all find that we sleep pretty well up here. Our crew quarters, which is like our little bedroom, it's about the size of a phone booth, not very big. It's where all our personal belongings are. We also have our own sleeping bag inside of there. And it's a special sleeping bag that we, kind of like a mummy bag, that you zip up and then your arms stick out to the side just like this. And you kind of sleep like that. And I do hook it into the wall, so I'm not floating completely freely, although you could if you wanted to. It's really your choice. I could sleep anywhere I wanted to on station, but I like my little crew quarters because it's nice and warm and dark. But that being said, because there's no gravity up here, you can sleep on any wall. You can sleep upside down in any direction. And unlike Earth, when you wake up in the middle of the night, you know where you are because you feel the bed pressing against your back and gravity tells you where you are. Up here, we don't have that. So the only sense I have of telling me where my body is my visual cue, or it's where my eyes are telling me where I am. And when you wake up in the dark like that, there have been several times where I wake up and I think I'm turned over upside down completely, and I'm not. But it takes me a few seconds for my eyes to tell me where I am and if I'm upright.
Hello, my name is Carlin Judge, and I am from Whittier Education Campus. My question is, how long does it take before being in space affects your body?
Wow, I'd say it affects you almost immediately. In fact, when we were launching, and remember I told you it took about 8.5 minutes to insert the vehicle into orbit. Once that 8.5 minutes was up, the third stage of the rocket cut off. It was a very abrupt cutoff, and immediately you could feel yourself floating. And immediately my brain wasn't quite sure it was happening. I felt like all the panels in the vehicle had tilted a little bit, and several astronauts have described that they feel like they're hanging from the ceiling a little bit, and I think that's because all the fluid actually starts to move towards your head. So your legs kind of become really, really skinny, and your face becomes very puffy, and some people think that we sound very congested, almost like we're sick, but we're not. It's just because in space, all that fluid moves towards your head. And so space begins to affect your body almost immediately upon reaching orbit. And then after a while, you just get used to things, and you don't feel like your head is so stuffy anymore, and you don't feel any difference in your legs or your arms. You almost begin to feel normal, like it's your home.
My name is Allie Eastburn. I'm from the School Without Walls High School, and my question is, what does a regular day on the International Space Station look like?
Wow, I can say no day is the same. Right now, we're getting ready for a bunch of things, so I'll tell you what my day's been like the past couple days. We're getting ready for some spacewalks that'll be coming up hopefully by the end of this month or the next month. So we've been preparing all of our special space suits, or what we call EMUs, to go out of the airlock and do some work on the space station. We've been doing science experiments all day long. I'm actually, right after I finished talking with you guys, in this same module that I'm in actually the Japanese module, the JPM. We have a special thing called the plant habitat, where we're going to be growing some plants here very shortly, and I have to go over and water those plants. So besides that, we are always doing repair or maintenance work on board the space station. You know, space station's not a brand new house. It's getting a little bit older. And so we always do work on it and upkeep to make sure things work as they should. But our day starts about 7:30 in the morning, and we work until 7:30 at night. So it's a pretty long day, but all of us, if you talk with all of us, we all feel like every day goes by really, really fast because we feel so busy all the time. And before we know it, a whole week has gone past. I can't believe that my crew, myself, Alex, and Sergey, have already been up here for over 100 days. That absolutely blows my mind, because sometimes it feels like we launched just yesterday.
Hi, my name is Indira Moshi, and I'm from School Without Walls at Francis Stevens. My question is, did you always want to be an astronaut?
Well, I think my family is there today, and they're probably nodding yes. And welcome to my family there at GW, and all my family listening at home. I think since I was very little, I just wanted to be an astronaut. I remember watching shuttles launch over and over again when I was in elementary school, specifically the 4th and the 5th grade. I just remember being very interested, and having my family, my parents, and all my sisters always encourage me. They always thought, if this is what you want to do, this is great. You know, we will encourage you and support you, and they always have. So for me, I always felt like it was a goal that was within reach. And, you know, there are many times where I had folks tell me, well, do you know what the odds are? Just, you know, it's so hard to get in, and 1 out of a million people, and blah, blah, blah. Don't listen to them. You know, do what you want to do. If you feel like you want to do something and you're passionate about it, make it happen.
My name is William Hernandez. I am from Whittier Education Campus. My question is, did you have to make sacrifices to achieve what you wanted to be?
Yeah, it's a great question. Yeah, there are a lot of sacrifices you make. I think one of the hardest things about training for a space station mission like this, as fun as the mission is we spend a lot of time away from home and away from family. When we get assigned to a mission, we start training about 2 to 2.5 years prior to that mission, which sounds like a long time, and it is. And we spend easily 50 to 60% of that time in Russia training. That's because we launch on a Russian vehicle, the Soyuz vehicle. And we also train on the Russian part of the International Space Station. We also spend time in Japan and Canada and Europe. So all those international trips sound like fun, and they really are, but you are away from your family, and that's probably one of the toughest parts about training for something like this.
My name is Addison Buffalo, and I'm from the Hanover, Pennsylvania First Lego League. My question is, how does creativity come into play as an astronaut? Are there any artistic activities or experiments you do?
Yeah, absolutely. So we've had lots of astronauts up here in the past do everything from sewing to knitting to watercolor. Music, especially. Music is a big part of our existence up here. We were chatting about it just yesterday at how when you look around a module and you can see to my left and to my right, there's lots of cables and wires and laptops, and it just seems like a very sterile environment, very machine-like, and it is. You hear the hum of machines and fans whirring constantly. But the moment you insert music, and it can be any type of music, it just changes the entire mood. So we have 2 guitars up here on Space Station. We actually have a small keyboard as well. We have a pan flute. We have a recorder. We have musical instruments down in the Russian segment. And just this past Saturday, we were all having fun playing the guitar and playing the recorder and singing songs together, including the Russians. I mean, we are kind of one family up here, and we love getting together on Friday and Saturday evenings and doing that. I think one of the other big things that folks like to do creativity-wise is photography. Obviously, the view we get from up here is unmatched, and especially one of my favorite parts are the aurora, or you might have heard them as the northern lights, and those are those green, really cool lights that seem alive. And so we'll take special time-lapse photography stills and try and put presentations together to try and portray to everyone on Earth how beautiful it is to see these things from up here.
Hi, my name is Kylie Gleason, and I'm a student at GW, School of Engineering and Applied Science. And my question is, what's the most rewarding part of your job?
You know, honestly, it's talking to you guys, and it's all the folks I get to reach out to, not only during the mission, but before the mission. It is so much fun being able to talk with students and explain to them what we do, what happens on the space station, what sort of science is up here, and how you guys can get involved. I think a lot of folks don't understand the science that's going on, and I don't think they could ever be a part of it. But we've got science experiments up here from high school through undergrad and graduate school. And so it's a lot of fun for me to be able to talk about those things. And I think a lot of folks feel like maybe some of the science that we do up here also doesn't impact them on Earth. But for example, we did cancer therapy research up here just a couple months ago, and that's because they feel like in space, some cells in the body grow just like they do in the body, and scientists really can't grow them very well on Earth. But for whatever reason, in space, these cells feel like they're at home, and they want to grow and grow and grow. And that allows researchers to test chemotherapy agents on them to see how well that would work. And so being able to do work like that up here really makes it just makes everything more meaningful. We know that it could possibly and hopefully impact folks on Earth. And so but at the same point, it's really fun sharing that with you guys.
Hello, Aunt Serena. This is Anna Sophia. I've been selected to ask you a question, and my question is, what are 3 things you'll miss from your life on the ISS when you are back home?
Hi, Anna Sophia. It's so good to hear your voice up here. I'm so glad you guys are there today watching. So let me think about this. Number 1, floating. Number 2, floating. Number 3, and floating. So yeah, honestly, floating is one of the best parts. Flying to and from work, flying everywhere you go. You watch how we become like little graceful airplanes up here after a while. It's just amazing to watch us move and how graceful people get, even me, after 2 or 3 months. Besides that, I will miss the crew. The crew is absolutely fantastic. Both our Russian cosmonauts, Oleg and Sergei, and then my American astronauts up here, Ricky and Drew, and our German astronaut, Alex Gerst. Just a fantastic crew. It's the people that you miss. It's the interactions you have with those people, and really also looking out the window. So when we look out our windows, we obviously have a very different view than what you guys have. It's a much broader view, and it's absolutely beautiful.
I'm afraid we've run out of time for questions with Serena. So let me tell you, Serena, this has been fabulous, wonderful. I'm not quite sure what the right adjective is to describe this, but thank you so much. We have 30 seconds. This has been a lot of fun for all of us, and we're so proud to call you a SEAS alumna. We wish you all the best for the rest of the mission and look forward to seeing you on this campus before too long.
Well, thank you to all participants. For George Washington University, the station, we're resuming operational audio communication.